3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted for open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
I move that we approve the certification of the closed session.
Hear a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay. The Pledge of Allegiance. Great. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Are there any school board comments?
Have none.
Superintendent comments?
Just want to hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We have 3 weeks until the winter holiday. Continue to be diligent with distancing, with masking and all the protocols so that we can continue to move forward.
Next up is recognition of National Special Education Day. Dr. Katina Clark.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board and Dr. Nichols. I am excited to share some information regarding National Special Education Day. It is recognized every year on December 2nd to commemorate the anniversary of the nation's first special education law that made education available for all children. And this day honors the progress that has been made in special education. I want to quickly share with you 4 pieces to this puzzle about the legislation that governs special education, a little bit about the history of students and services in school, and then what the benefits that has been gained since the law has been enacted. And so the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act was signed into law on December the 2nd, 1962, and it stipulated that children with disabilities had the right to have the same free education that every other child had access to between the ages of 3 and 21. Before IDEA became available, many students with disabilities received no education. And so schools were not required to make accommodations for students. While some states offered special schools, many families could not afford to send their students away. And so those students were not educated. Since the enactment of the legislation, many changes have been brought to fruition and bringing students equal education. Students, the integration of students has helped to remove the stigma about students with disabilities. Another result has been an increase in technology, and that increase in technology has brought access to all students, not just students with disabilities. The future for students with disabilities really is bright and full of possibilities. Students are taking honors classes, graduating with standard and advanced diplomas, and attending college. And so this week we will be celebrating and acknowledging National Special Education Day by sharing a formal notice with our school administrators and our central office personnel. And in that will be a list of activities that can be shared with students and staff that really support and promote inclusive practices. And also in that celebration for us is we're going to begin to the charge that words matter and that we are students first. And so we want to start making the transition from special education students to students with disabilities. And then just to end our recognition, as we think about publicly thanking our over 70 staff that include teachers, paraprofessionals, related services providers, our coordinators, and our instructional specialists that work together along with the school administrators and the school staff to provide a quality educational experience for our students with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, that was very interesting. Let's see, next up is recognition of Computer Science Education Week. Dr. Bishop and Mr. Mullen.
Yeah, we'd like to acknowledge our Computer Science Education Week, starting December 7th and 10th. I'm focused more on just the curriculum. We have computer science standards of learning for grades 3 through 8, and also those standards that are in our classes in CTE as well. Those include computer literacy, educational technology, digital citizenship, and informational technology. And those are really embedded into our curriculum, and they're, through our technology and our one-to-one and just within all of our content. And Ross is going to share a little about the week.
Sure. Along with the it being embedded in the standards, we do have classes at both the middle and high that are geared towards STEM that include coding within them. And here at the high school, I can't remember if the middle school did it here at the high school earlier in the year. Mr. Augabaugh had his students do a coding project and built games online, posted them out for the public to play as well. So one of the ways in which, on a national promotion, that code.org started basically getting people going with using coding in schools, Hour of Code, and this is promoted during this week in December. And so how we do that is our teachers, they're encouraged to take some time out of class each year. Our ITRTs provide different activities that they can do with class. And so they're doing that this week so they can prepare for next week. And then in the past, we've done a parent-student coding night where they come out to the school. Due to current restrictions, we can't do that, but we are looking at trying to post something online the parent families could follow along with. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're moving on to the consent agenda items. For members, you had the opportunity to review the consent agenda items, the minutes from the previous meetings, bills, and payroll for September and October of 2020, monthly financials for October 2020, and the superintendent's recommendation regarding personnel matters. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented?
I move we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
And a vote?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's see, next up is citizen comments. Do you have any comments today? Okay. New business. All right, Dr. Nichols, the floor is yours.
Quick update with the new elementary school contract. We had a great meeting with both our architects and the construction company, the builders, Heartland, and we are nearing an actual contract. So we had a great meeting. Ms. Barber was with us and some of our staff on just narrowing down the cost of that project. So we're excited to continue to move forward on that. And we plan to have an official contract before you for approval at our December 14th work session so that we can break ground in early 2021 and be ready for a fall 22 start.
Proposed budget calendar, Ms. Morheim.
Okay, Ms. Morkheim and I are going to tag team this one. Ms. Morkheim, you with me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Again, loud and clear.
All right, great. Well, good evening. Let's see, all the board members in there and everybody. And really, this is just a budget calendar that is similar to the past. It's slightly a little bit delayed with all that we've had going on, but basically the same process as we've had in the past. We do have one change request for you. We did have a late board meeting in April because of spring break that fell on April 12th. So we did look at proposing to move the April work session that was previously scheduled for the 26th to cancel that and actually make the May board meeting May 3rd and then hold a work session later in May instead of in April. And you'll see that really was because of timing issues with when the county would adopt the budget and when we would need to adopt on our end as well. So if you all are accepting of that, Mila can certainly send out updates with those changes for those specific dates.
By moving our meeting back 1 week into May, it allows us not to hold a special call meeting for the budget piece. It lines up, once we saw the county's calendar and where it was, we wanted to line up our May meeting because we could do it during that time. But we'll send you those updates and work through them. This budget calendar could shift. We'll keep you updated as everything has shifted this year. We're flexible about moving forward with it. But we wanted to bring you that calendar, and we'll add the pertinent events to your calendar as well.
Next up is appropriation of grant funds. That's Ms. Mohammed.
Yes, ma'am. This is a grant appropriation of $3,764.95. This is a grant that Dr. Pollard had applied for and received for seclusion and restraint regulations training. And we will work with Katina on the specifics of this award, but we wanted to get it appropriated into the proper category so that we can move forward.
We are required to provide seclusion and restraint training. This grant just offsets the cost of doing that. So it was a great grant to pick up and pay for training that we're required to do already.
What does that training typically consist of?
It's two parts. So the first part or the first phase is the state has partnered with Old Dominion and put together some modules. So the first part of the training is to watch 5 modules that talk about some preventative measures first. And then there's a cumulative assessment that everyone has to take, and you get a certificate if you pass the assessment. And then the second part is really for administrators and any staff that will be working with students whose IEPs specifically call for or could possibly include restraint or seclusion. And so the second part is really for the administrators and the staff to have some hands-on training.
Thank you.
And that comes from Hanover County? And how does that work?
So same question. Ms. Swinton, we're on the same page with that. I asked the same question. So it is a, Hanover is the lead on this grant, but it's a regional grant. So we're a subset of that grant. Yeah. So we're sort of a within Hanover, but Hanover is the named part of it. So we did not apply for a grant from Hanover. Not that we wouldn't.
Right, okay.
But we didn't in this case, yes. I had them explain that to me before I came into it. Like Hanover, yes.
Any other questions? All right, next up is course request, English 12, college composition BE.
We have a CIP transfer first, D.
Oh, sorry, I missed one. CIP transfer request is up.
Yep. And that is, as you all know, we have been working on the old art room space by Student Services to renovate that for to assist with social distancing. And one of the aspects of that is replacing and updating the windows in that building. We do not believe that we will get those by the December 30th deadline for the CRF funds. We are still hopeful that we could potentially receive them. But at this point, we would like to ask for a transfer of $52,102 to move forward with securing the contract with Colonial Door and Glass, which is through a VASCUP contract. And that's something that Mr. Pollock has worked out and includes all of the windows for both the special services building and the art room, as well as I guess, Dr. Nichols, would you call it like a dividing space within the art room to kind of set up a conference area, basically?
Yes. So in the art room space, if you've never been there, there would be a conference room space and offices around it and allow us to replace the windows. Anything that we get in before December 30th, we will charge to the CARES Act piece. But in case it does not come in, because everything is on such a delay, even when they say you're going to get it, we want to have the money in hand so we can move forward with this project. It'll revitalize that space and allow us to shift personnel and add office space and meeting space and do some much needed renovations to that space.
What do we think is the likelihood of us having that in hand by the end of the year?
The windows,
Windows.
I would say somewhat unlikely at this point, just because of the lag.
Is this a window replacement or is it more like a storm window, interior storm window, or exactly what?
These are window replacements
Okay,
for the windows at student services and in the art room. And then the conference room space is also made of glass, so the same company can do those pieces as well.
Any questions?
But it will provide much needed office space and start to bring our team together.
good.
Yeah, Dr. Bishop, it's your turn, sorry.
Great, no worries, no worries. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols, this is a proposal for an additional course for English 12 that would include, this English 12 course is 3 dual enrollment credits as opposed to the 6 dual enrollment credits. I'll show you how that sequence is aligned. These are for students who have not taken a dual enrollment English course. Students typically take a dual enrollment English course in 11th grade, during 6th, and then 12th grade, during another 6th. So this is something different. Trying to open it up and allow students to have the opportunity to earn at least 3 dual enrollment credits when they're ready. So if they're ready and they're inclined, they can choose to have this more rigorous course. So currently, we have 2 dual enrollment English courses, dual enrollment English 11 and dual enrollment English 12. They're kind of sequenced together. English 111 and 112 is college composition 1 and 2. Typically, you need an A or B in English 10 honors. What we're trying to do with the English department is not have gatekeeping. We're trying to really look at each student individually and push that student to a more rigorous course schedule as they possibly can. The 6 dual enrollment course, there's nothing different about the English 11 course. But I do want to note that in English 111 course, if a teacher has 25 kids in her class, they're reading 600 pages of writing for that, just that for 111, and then another 600 pages for 112. So it's a rigorous course, a lot of writing, a lot of demand on a dual enrollment English 11 teacher. So dual enrollment English 12, we'd like to tweak that a little bit. Typically right now it's 210 advanced English composition. What we'd like to do is just English 243 and English 244. It's more of a literature course. Of course, we'll be writing in this course as well. But advanced English comp is works for some students, but not for all the students in English dual enrollment English 12. That's 6 dual enrollment English credits as well. So the proposed dual enrollment English 12 college composition, not to be confused with dual enrollment English, is a 3-credit course. So it has English 111, which is just 3 credits, infused with English honors, 12 honors course. Our English 12 honors course is a really rigorous course. Teachers like it a lot. We didn't want to add 111, 112 for this course. It's really just for the students to get their feet wet. Get 3 credits, you get 3 dual enrollment credits. Now at 12th grade, we find that there's some students that took English 11 honors. Now they're ready to take a VCCS course, Virginia College Community College System course. This would be offered in 1 semester, not the year-long course. So that's kind of that's the 3 courses. So the next slide, focus your attention to the bottom of this slide. It's dual enrollment English 11. Those students who take dual enrollment English 11, their pathway is to dual enrollment English 12. That's a typical pathway. Too rigorous, maybe they're taking dual enrollment math classes in their senior year. They want to just English 12 honors. So that's that pathway. And the next pathway, it opens up a little bit more with this course. Students in English 11 or students in English 11 honors, they can take English 12. English 11 honors typically takes English 12 honors. But we're looking for those students who take dual enrollment English 12 college composition which is just a little bit more post-secondary, a little more rigorous course, getting the students into the pipeline for a 2 or 4 year college course. So that's kind of the rationale. So it would be just one more kind of option for students. And again, we're trying to, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're trying to just continue to provide rigor to our students. Sometimes they're not ready in 10th and 11th grade, but they're ready for English 12 honors. So if you're taking dual enrollment English 111, you can't take dual enrollment English 12 because you're repeating 111 again. So that's why that pathway is, they're kind of separate.
But Dr. Bishop, we're very fortunate at the high school because we have, 3 English teachers who can teach dual enrollment, which is almost unheard of to have that type of expertise in this building, in any building. So we have the expertise built in to provide more opportunities for kids.
And how many students do we have that typically pursue one of these tracks?
We have 2 to 3 classes in dual enrollment English. Right now we have in English 11, we have 4 English 11 honors classes. So in effect, next year, maybe you have, if those 4 classes, maybe 2 will be English honors, maybe another 2 will be this kind of hybrid dual enrollment English 12 college composition. So
Just the more opportunities we can get kids to have college or career credit with us at our price point and with our supports, we feel they'll be more successful. So this is just some of the work Dr. Bishop is leading about expanding some of these college and career opportunities for kids.
Have you found that the majority of all of the schools that our students are applying to, meaning community colleges or 4-year institutions, are they accepting these credits without any issues? Or are you finding that students are coming back and say they're not accepting these? Or because I've heard that it depends on what the class is. And so what's the opportunity that they're actually accepting all of these credits so these students know that if I apply, I'm going to get credit for these dual enrollment classes?
BCCS is really trying very hard to align with all those colleges. William Mary is a little more difficult. UVA is a little more difficult in terms of providing those English credits, so to speak. They do get elective credits at the very least with college with the dual enrollment credits. So BCCS is really pushing hard to make sure that pathway is pretty.
The community college system, because that was an issue just a few years back, and you would take all these courses and none of them.
Yeah, with transfer, these students were like, why did I spend all this time taking these? I mean, even when my daughter was in school, it was like, well, that was a waste of my time because they didn't even accept the credits.
At best, they would give you elective credit with it. So the community college system is really banded together and saying these are core courses and have done vertical articulation with 4-year institutions. Now, when you get to some of those specialized courses, such as some of our DE courses at Bridging, some 4 years may not take that, but really working on those core courses. So something we're looking at as we expand dual enrollment opportunities, especially in the career end of things.
And even the math courses are really aligned now, so that all community colleges have the same. Used to be a Wild Wild West with math and what kind of college algebra and things like that. So it's very tight in terms of the dual enrollment math courses.
So when these students are saying, hey, I want to go to the school and I've taken this, do the counselors feel pretty confident that they can assure them that, look, when you go in, you apply to the school, that you're going to go in with 6 college credits or 3 college credits, which will help them in their admissions process as well, I would assume.
There is the articulation, and I can show that BCCS does have a lined up. It has AP as well. Those AP courses that you can actually get credit for at colleges. So they've kind of aligned those up, and they're really trying hard to form those partnerships with four-year colleges.
And for a GPA perspective, now a senior has another opportunity for a dual enrollment weighted course, which could also help them get in as well. So even beyond does it connect and they get the credit, it could help them on the GPA side.
Well, that was my next question. So the dual enrollment, what's the scale on that? Is that a 5 point?
It's a
Yes.
5 grade. It is, yeah. Mhm.
We just know some kids aren't ready at 11th grade, but they could be ready as seniors. So it provides a really low to no cost expansion. So just looking for those opportunities.
And the size of those classes would probably be less than 20.
No, they're right, they can be, there's a range, so they're from 13 to 26. I mean, it depends, the schedule kind of gets wobbly a little bit when you have all these offerings. We do offer a lot for our students, so sometimes that gums up that scheduling piece. So that's kind of a range right now.
But definitely less than what they would experience in a college setting, because those classes, especially those 100-level classes, or your classes that have massive.
That's right, and it's for 3 credits, it's $45. So.
So, but this is for the 2021.
It is.
correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
This
so
would go
is
into the
not
fourth year.
for second semester.
Yeah,
No.
but it comes before you now, because in order to get in the course catalog for kids to
Okay.
select courses, we have to be this far ahead on some of this stuff.
Now, would, God forbid, would virtual change any of this?
No.
No, we have kids taking dual enrollment right now virtually with our teachers.
Okay.
So please let us not.
Oh, I
have to
know, that's
go
what
through that
I'm
one,
like,
but-
God, we don't want to
Yeah.
approve this course and then we say,
Yeah, that's a good
well, it
point.
only works if it's face to face. It doesn't work. if
We
it's-
do have the capability, we're doing it now. We
Right.
would, if we were forced to do that for one reason or another, we would be able to accomplish that.
And some advantages, again, it provides an opportunity to receive college credit, gives choice, more challenging. It's another step for students to have a more challenging course load in their senior year. Also, with a technical program like HVAC, if you don't have that 111, you do not, that contract that you have when you go on is your salary is quite a bit less.
All right, let me just somewhat random. So technical programs, so my son just graduated from an aviation maintenance program in October. He still had to take for the associate's degree was 111, 112. So even if you're going into that career field, that certification, oftentimes you have that English 111, 112 as an option. So it's another option for kids to have it there connected to some of our career programs.
And so this is really a course for also students who took English 11, not English 11 honors, but English 11, and really trying to support them in this next level. And the dual enrollment, those English teachers are phenomenal. And we really kind of worked out with several meetings trying to hash out the title of the course, what it looks like, what the curriculum is. So, and the course description is the next page, and this is what we'd like to put into our program of studies. And of course, in order to go to this, you'll have to pass your writing and your reading as well in 11th grade. And then finally, the committee, just a good group of people from RCC, all the dual enrollment English teachers. Peggy Spiak was involved as well because of the ECA. The ECA was an important part of this because we approach the ECA a little bit differently than most school districts. I will tell you that we're more fluid and take as many dual enrollment credits as you possibly can at New Kent High School. Not that this is all the dual enrollment is only for the ECA kids. So we're pushing kids along the way to take as many dual enrollment classes as we possibly can to provide them with that one leg in to the VCCS system. That way it's easy to go into that to your college and also for the four-year college. So requesting your approval with this, if there's any questions.
This does come before you again for approval later on in the meeting. But
Any other questions?
That's good.
Now, what I've been waiting for, return to learn update.
okay. All right, so I'm going to bring you up to date on the return to learn and where we are with this work. There we go. So we have been using this criteria to consider when returning to school. So 4 different things that we look at, the regional and county health metrics, Do we have the staffing in place to do student learning with that next cohort of phase? Looking at students who are choosing in-class learning, so the survey work that we've been doing and will continue to do. And then how are students and staff in our schools currently doing before we introduce a new cohort? Looking at the regional and county health metrics, in the past 2 weeks, both our regional and specific New Kent County health metrics have taken a turn for the worse. We are now in that red band that we've been narrowly avoiding, somewhat doing better in. We've sort of mirrored most of the state. So now when you look at the state, county, city map, most are now in that red piece. So our regional and county health data is not where we would like it to be in terms of COVID-19 positive tests. We don't anticipate that getting better with the most recent Thanksgiving holiday. So this is without taking that into account. We'll see the impacts of that in the next couple of weeks. I've had meetings with the health department and the county looking at those different components. That's not an area where we're trending in the right direction right now. So wanted to update you on student and staff health data. So I have two different tables for you. The one on the right is since September 8th for students and since August 24th for staff. Now, why am I choosing those two dates? September 8th is the first day that students technically reported. August 24th is the first day we had all staff here. So that's why you see those dates. Keep in mind that these numbers are misleading because in operating a virtual school division for most of the first 9 weeks, we don't connect to our students to know all of the data. These students you see here on the positive test and the students in quarantine, those are students that are connected to our schools through some way, shape, or form. It could be through internet access. It could be through sports conditioning. It could be in class, any way that we're connected with kids. That's how we find out this data. So if we do have a student who tested positive that's just doing virtual school, we wouldn't necessarily know that information. So this is what we know in working with families and working with the school, but it may not be all inclusive. On the staff since August 24th, you can see that our positive test among staff is a good number. The positive test with staff is really what's not giving us the most heartache right now. It is staff that are connected to somebody who has tested positive, staff that have had a significant interaction with somebody who's tested positive. Could be a spouse, could be a loved one, not that a spouse can't be a loved one, but could be a friend, it could be anything along those. We've had 76 staff in quarantine since September 8th. Quarantine is typically a minimum of 14 days, although it can be longer based on certain conditions and so forth. That is really the most disruptive piece for us right now, are the number of staff members and the work we do to contact trace and work backwards. I wanted to give you last week, just to kind of show a comparison of overall and then week at a glance. So last week we had 3 positive student tests. Once again, those are students that are connected with us in one way, shape, or form, and 24 students in quarantine. So every positive student, we have 8 in quarantine. That's the current ratio from last week. And then staff. So last week we had 2 positive staff tests, and we right now have 17 staff members in quarantine. So it's the quarantine piece that continues to be the most disruptive piece. Positive cases are disruptive, absolutely, and we work through those components. But we do screen every day, and we do a lot of things on that end, and our staff has been doing a good job with that. We do need to be more diligent at times and more consistent. I think we could try to lower some of those quarantine numbers through those pieces.
Dr. Nichols,
Yes.
Staff members still continue to work and students still continue to go to school in quarantine?
Yes, they can. As long as they're not exhibiting symptoms and they feel well enough to do it, then absolutely. We make every effort to do telework options for staff. And of course, if you're virtual, it's pretty easy for us to work through. So yes, that's the nice part about having the virtual piece, is we're able to not disrupt the instructional day as much. It gives us more flexibility through that piece. Of course, if you're exhibiting symptoms and you don't feel well, which can be the case, then no, you're not expected to attend school or You work with Ms. Pitts and her team on the HR side for leave and so forth.
And there's some jobs that can't telework, so then they use those 80 hours of the emergency paid sick leave.
That's a great point, yep. Because if you drive a bus for us and you have to quarantine, we don't necessarily have a complementary, a position of the same, in the same area. When last we left you, we had our grade 2-5 survey out because we wanted to look at the next two cohorts and get some data on what families wanted, because a lot of our work depends on space. We have a minimum 3 feet requirement for students. A minimum of 3 feet. We'd like to be greater and closer to 6 feet. The closer you are, the more you're going to have to quarantine if you have a positive case. It's kind of how that piece works. So this was the information that was sent to families that your teacher may change as a result. The most conversations I have with families during this survey, and I think our administrators would say the same thing, is I don't want my teacher to change. We have fantastic teachers. But we're working through those pieces with families. Our daily schedule will change as more cohorts are added. We talked about transportation last meeting. Transportation will continue to be a challenge as we're limited to 20 plus kids on a bus. And we only have so many drivers and so much time to do that. So tonight I wanted to share a little bit about the survey, I believe. Here we go. So here's how it broke down by school. So at George Watkins, you can see of the students in second grade, 81 elected in person, 21 elected virtual, 25, sorry. Third grade, 80 and 31. New Kent Elementary, you have 57 and 29. And in third grade, you have 64 and 36. So that's kind of how it's breaking down. When I compare with some of our neighbors and some of our neighbors that are in person right now, our in-person numbers tend to be higher. Our percentage-wise tends to be higher. We have fewer selecting virtual so far. We thought we would see more students selecting virtual as they got older. That has not been the case in elementary so far. It's pretty much held to that 27, 28% choosing virtual versus a 40%, which would give us a lot more flexibility, space-wise. Question we knew would come up and came up last time, so we want to make sure you have this data for you. And we're just looking at second and third because that is the next cohort. We do have additional data for fourth and fifth, and we do have some problematic areas as far as class size, class space, number of teachers, especially when you get to fourth grade. But this is what second and third will look like. So the first number in second grade, that's the number of kids in average per class with 5 teachers. So 5 teachers, average is 16 in a class. Virtual, you have 25, that would be 1 teacher, okay? Third grade, you have 16 in a class with 5 teachers. The virtual number makes me a little, it's not ideal. So 31 with 1 virtual teacher. If we went to 2 virtual teachers there, we would go up to around 20 in a classroom. Okay. So you see second grade at New Kent has 19 with 3 teachers and 15 with 2 teachers, 16 with 4, and then 18 with 2. That is what class sizes would look like today. Yes.
When we did the survey for kindergarten and first grade, and now that kindergarten and first grade are back in class, have any of those children changed their minds from in classroom to virtual and going back to virtual, or has everybody done what they said they were going to do?
Mr. Mack, do you want to?
For us, I think we had maybe 2 or 3 requests come in. We had the space to do it.
Okay.
And then we also had maybe 2 requests change their mind and go virtual. So it kind of
Balanced out,
Yeah.
okay.
We asked for a commitment from families so that we can run our logistics, but I will tell you both elementary schools have been fantastic of working with families to the best of their ability. But it all comes down to space in the classroom. Our teachers have done a phenomenal job, our administrators, the whole team has done an incredible job with that. In saying that, it has not been easy. There are a lot of logistics and a lot of challenges. I think one of the most interesting challenges would be GWs. So Ms. Mack, when you get all your kids in 2 through 5, how many parent drop-offs would you have?
155.
Yeah, well over 100 parent drop-offs. When you think about GW in that parking lot, we've asked parents if you can to provide transportation. When you have that many, they essentially have to flip the bus loop, and now that's the car drop-off loop. And the car drop-off loop becomes the bus loop. So the logistics in managing that is no easy task, even as we move forward. Presents huge challenges. All right, so it's a class size piece. This is where we were last we met. K-12 students with IEPs on adaptive curriculum have been in since week 2. Cohort 2 is grades K and 1. You can see their schedule. First grade has been in since November 16th. Cohort 3 initially proposed to you December 14th, and cohort 4 we were looking at initially January 11th. One of the trends that we've kind of seen looking at the school divisions is school divisions moving backwards. We've had several school divisions that have shifted to all virtual, that were partially in person or fully in person in those pieces. We really want to avoid moving backwards. We want to do cohorts well. We want to make sure it works well, keep families safe, and so forth. The initial proposal was for 2-3 to come back December 14th. And I know I got some questions like by the week before winter break. We did not feel comfortable bringing students back the first week after winter break to run our logistics and those pieces. Looking at our health metrics, looking at our staffing data, looking at the calendar, I have another updated proposal for you, which we do not have to vote on tonight because we do have time to kind of talk through that. And that would be to push that grade 2 and 3 cohort back to January 11th. So that would be the week after we get back from winter holiday. So instead of pushing 2-3 December 14th as our health data is going up and we're dealing with these quarantine pieces, would be to look at potentially doing 2-3 January 11th, and then looking at 4-5 and 6-12. I'll show you in the next steps, which I think are next.
So, quick question.
Yes.
Can we go back to the last slide before this one, 31? I know you had said that was going to be a stretch for 31 students for the virtual.
Yeah.
How will we be able to add another teacher because at any given point somebody else could go virtual? I mean, 31 is a lot of students.
So 31 is a lot of students. So this is the current data we have for you. We would work with our administrators to look at space. That's really the primary worry. So if we were to say 2 teachers, and Mr. Mack can jump into 2 teachers virtual and get it 15, 16, then we have to look at his in-person numbers and can we put 20 in a classroom and still provide adequate spacing?
So do we have 6 teachers right now at George Watkins for 3rd grade? Is
Correct.
That what the defense
Yeah.
is?
Yep. So those totals are actual personnel that we have there. So 5 second grade, 5 second. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dr. Nichols?
Yes.
So just clarify, so let's just use the 3rd grade. So we're 16 students in each of the 5 teachers' grades? Is that the breakdown?
In each of the 5 classrooms?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just needed to have that clarified. Thank you.
Yes. I think that is an average number. I'd have to do the exact math on it, which I think we're calculating now, but that would be the average class size there. So it may be 17 in one and 15 in another, but that would be what we would average out at.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 22 in one and 16 in another.
Well, because if you did it the other way, you would be up to 20 if you did 4 there, you would have 20. You
Right.
had
Yeah.
to divide it by,
That's right.
yeah, okay.
With the 4 and 2 split, you have 43 students going to a new teacher.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so
you're
that's
taking
another
that
factor
into
to-
consideration in as well.
So that's a good point. The team, we did not promise there would be no switching, but we've worked to minimize it. If we did add a second virtual teacher, that would increase the number of changes.
Third grade, currently 31 with one virtual teacher, there's 32 students that have to change teachers. So if we went to 2 virtually, we'd be up to 43 to have a different teacher.
Do you already have in mind who this one teacher with 31 students is going to be?
I have in mind.
So is there a possibility that one teacher and even the 1 for 25 for second grade, are you thinking about other opportunities to support that teacher? For example, a parapro, an extra parapro assigned, or, there is a myth that virtual teaching is somehow easy. And I think for one teacher to be expected to teach virtually to 31 kids does the kids a disservice and does the teachers a disservice.
Have we really looked at it? Not that closely. But we do have to consider the special ed population also who've chosen a virtual option. So you would have to have support of some of those cohorts. We still have parapros that are helping with our online access areas. That's another variable that's thrown into it. So it's going to be interesting.
Mr. Mack brings up a good point, and I didn't put those numbers in this, but we do have to consider students with disabilities and how many we have at each grade level and the support that they receive too. And you could have in third grade, students with an IEP that choose in person and students with IEP that choose virtual. That it has already happened K1. It'll happen 2, 3, and just staffing those pieces as well.
We, as a follow-up to this, could we get a more definitive breakdown on what that would look like?
Yes, I have that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things that we're working through is 6 through 12 and getting an intent survey from secondary families. Both the both the middle school and the high school are making preparations for in-person return as far as scheduling and those pieces. But we need to, you've seen that it's not easy at an elementary level where you just have the one teacher. It is further complicated exponentially with a secondary schedule. So we will be looking to push out a survey in early December, which early December starts tomorrow, for families for a commitment for second semester. So as we work through these cohorts to be ready from a logistics standpoint, but also a scheduling standpoint, to give our secondary folks the lead time on that piece. So while our health data is trending in the wrong direction, we still need to be armed with the data to be able to move forward in person. So that will be coming forward. We also have a December 14th school board work session. And we can go through questions and additional pieces, but my proposal to you is that we would come back with the updated health metrics and look at that cohort 3 and the potential of that cohort 4. But thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas?
Well, I mean, it seems like it appears at this point that you are proposing, because technically we would have to make a decision today to, based on the whole proposal.
Correct.
To allow second and third graders to come back on the 14th, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And your proposal is to postpone that.
Yes.
Based on the current information that we have.
First, based on the current staffing and health metrics that we have. What we gain by coming back a week early may not be worth it, and looking at that next cohort on the 11th. So it does delay us, but it doesn't move us backwards in terms of cohorts and who's in person. The plan would be for K1 to continue in-person learning and not move back to an all virtual piece. Right now that is working. Our teachers are doing a fantastic job, not without its challenges, but they're managing that, and the administrators, transportation, child nutrition, really all pulling together on those pieces.
So is it really just space? I know you say it's a combination of the health data, but I mean, you can't look into your crystal ball and assume things are gonna be different in January. So I guess I'm just, I mean, we need to get kids back. We need to get them back. And I think we've stated that, we've given people choices. And, I'm just struggling with working towards that commitment. I want to, prove to people that we want this to happen. Our numbers are tight though. It's definitely frustrating to have to delay. It's frustrating.
My team would tell you I didn't love putting this together either, because I mean, it's having K1 back has been a beautiful thing on a lot of levels. For our teachers,
that's working more because of space.
for our kids, and
More because
so
of
space is a piece of that puzzle.
Well, now it appears a bigger piece is when you have 31 kids, correct? I mean, that's one of the bigger challenges now. How do you manipulate 31 kids with one teacher on that third cohort?
Right. Well, and looking forward, I didn't put the 4th and 5th grade, but the 4th and 5th grade gets even tougher in terms of numbers returning, number of teachers. Traditionally, your 4th and 5th grade classes are larger for class size. The state allows, the cap goes up after K3. You can't have more kids in a classroom. So traditionally, we run a higher number at 4th and 5th. It makes it really tough with the current conditions and restraints that we have in place. So we
just don't have enough classrooms to accommodate if you get to that 20 to 22 person in-person classroom.
when we get under that 3 feet piece is where we have that difficulty. Now, I have had the question, especially early on when we're doing return to learn, is, could we just take over some of this space? We're not using it now. And in theory, we could, but we don't have any more teachers. So we still only have the 6 teachers that they have at GW, and of course the teachers that we have in New Kent Elementary. And both schools have talked about, are there ways that we can schedule and do those kind of pieces to assist? But that becomes a challenge as well.
It's not preliminary.
I mean, I just don't know what we're gonna vote on in December or January. I mean, it's not really a health metric, it's a space metric.
The health metrics are driving this piece right now. So space-wise, we can work through the personnel piece, especially with cohort 2 and 3. Not cohort 2 and 3, grades 2 and 3. The space issue will raise its head more once we hit 4. So we can look at those support mechanisms, we can look at those class size pieces, we can look at those components.
Well, initially, what we hoped would happen with 2 and 3 was that they were going to come back a week before the break anyway. And so now we're really, it's not a huge difference. We were hoping for it.
So we're basically shifting them a week.
Yeah.
Is that?
The week,
So
so it'd be 2 weeks. It'd be the week before. Give us a little more time to work on some of those class size pieces.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to action items. First up is consider approval of the appropriation of grant funds. Do I hear a motion to approve the appropriation of grant funds as presented?
I move we approve the appropriation of grant funds as presented.
Second,
A second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve the CIP transfer request as presented?
I move we approve the CIP transfer request as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve the English 12 composition dual enrollment course request as presented?
Make a motion that we approve the new course as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next up is upcoming meetings. As we just talked about, we are going to have another meeting on December the 14th at 6 o'clock. Here, and Zoom will be available. Next regular meeting will be January the 11th. Same time, same place. Meeting is adjourned.